Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 13th meeting of the Delhi Township Trustees. We're here again at the Glen Carter Lodge, still waiting for the elevator repairs at the admin building. So hang with us for a while. We will begin the meeting, as we normally do, open with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will have a moment of silence. Tonight's moment of silence, as we enter Holy Week, no matter what your celebration, you're Christian, Jewish, or you're celebrating Ramadan, let's all pray for the souls who have been lost in the Ukraine and for a swift conclusion to this atrocity. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right. Begin the meeting with the approval of the minutes, Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees regular meeting on March 30th, 2022, and dispense with reading.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending April 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved. Report from our fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
As far as significant transactions since our last meeting, we did receive a deposit for $898,000 for the homestead rollback. As far as payments, we had our payments to our school districts to make them whole out of our TIF. We cut a check to Oak Hills for $1,260,000, a check to Great Oaks for $68,000, and Cincinnati Public Schools for $53,000. Our payroll on 3/31 was $360,000. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Luby. Trustee correspondent, Trustee Davis.
Not at this time.
Trustee Sertz.
Yes, I want to thank Ed Conrad and his group, Bob Miller, and so many others. And I don't want to misrepresent anybody and leave somebody out. But CERT in Delhi was founded in like 2002, from what I understand. And they're now merging with Green. So we'll have a Green Delhi Township CERT. Our CERT participants were getting a little older, and the new ones were coming up. So thank you to everybody who served on that committee and served us so well at all our events. And then secondly, I want to put a shout out. Delhi Fire got a nice little note about two of their employees who helped with somebody, and so we received this from the husband, and I just want to make sure that not everybody always gets their dues and get the shout out, but they mentioned Kevin and Merrick. I'm not sure Merrick is the right name. Eric, thank you. That's what I was going to say. I knew it wasn't Merrick. But anyway, they took care of a resident, and they were glad and appreciative. And again, we just have great first responders on both police and fire. Thank you to our citizens for writing in and acknowledging them and knowing that you appreciate them as much as we do. So thank you.
Thank you. I have no trustee correspondence this evening, but we do have a special presentation tonight. And our special guest is Mr. Ian Mercer from Congressman Steve Shabbat's office. So, Ian?
Good evening. First, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to connect with you, your community members here, and Delhi Township as a whole. My name is Ian Mercer, and I am a constituent liaison in the Cincinnati District Office of Congressman Steve Shabbat, who represents the 1st Congressional District of Ohio. Tonight, I'd just like to introduce myself to the Board of Trustees here for Delhi Township and the community members here this evening. Overall, I'd like to be a resource for your township. Should anything arise, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and we'll do anything possible for your constituents' request. A little bit about myself. After graduating from Miami University in 2016, I moved to Washington, D.C. to start as an intern in Congressman Shabbat's office there. And since then, I've been a member of the Congressman's staff. During my 5 years in the Congressman's D.C. office, my duties included managing our intern program, giving personal tours of our U.S. Capitol building, managing our constituent mail and response program, and then ultimately analyzing some federal policies related to education, agriculture, animal welfare, the post office, and the U.S. Department of the Interior. In June of 2021, my wife and I decided to move back to the great state of Ohio, and specifically here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Her family is originally from here, so we wanted to be close to family. So after that decision, I joined the Cincinnati District Office for Congressman Shedd. Here, my responsibilities changed a little bit, and now I help constituents that have issues with federal agencies. So say a constituent of ours reaches out to our office, say about an issue with the IRS. Our staff, myself included, are able to reach out to that federal agency and say, hey, we have a constituent here, can you please give us an update or tell us what's going on with their specific case with you? Specifically, I handle the U.S. Department of State, U.S. embassies and consulates, and the U.S. Passport Agency. And as a member of our district staff, I also engage with elected officials and community members and constituents like yourself. So, again, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me here this evening to formally introduce myself to Delhi Township as a resource. I look forward to working with you in the coming months and year. If there's anything I can do, please feel free to let me know. I brought a bunch of business cards here, so I'll make sure to give everyone one before I leave, so you have my direct email address. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Ian. And I know that we've all been very appreciative of the fact that Congressman Chabot has always been very available to Delhi Township and our elected officials. So we're pleased that you're on his staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian, you mind giving us your contact information now, so it's recited, so we have.
Oh, okay, on the video. So my email address is ian.m as in Mary, ERCER @mail.house as in House of Representatives .gov. Our Cincinnati District Office phone number is 513-684-2723. And then our Warren County office phone number is 513-421-8704. And for any policy questions or legislative opinions that you may have, please feel free to reach out to our Washington, D.C. office at 202-225-2216. Thank you. Was that come from?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue then with our department reports, and we'll begin with the Fire Department Chief Campbell.
We have a motion to accept the retirement of career firefighter paramedic Robert B. Palmer effective April 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion approved. Chief Campbell, the first thing I'm going to say is thanks for the light reading material at the last meeting.
Yes.
Chief Campbell handed out and I'm going to get it right, Emergency Operations Plan for Delhi Township, which really includes all of our departments. I mean, all of our departments, fire, police, parks, fiscal officer, you have a nice part in that too. But I wanted to give each one of the trustees a chance if they had any questions at this point, because we will be putting a resolution on at the next meeting to approve the Emergency Operations Plan. Trustee Davis?
I do not. It was very thorough, which I appreciated, and it just puts everything together. And you always hope and pray that you would never have to actually implement the emergency operation plan. But great job for having it together. And again, failure to plan is a plan to fail. So we've got a good plan there, and I think it'll be solid. So thank you so much. Great. Thank you.
Trustee Swartz?
The only question I had, and I agree, very thorough, very light reading. But it doesn't really, unless I missed it, it doesn't identify who the PIO, the Public Information Officer, is. Is that to be determined under every time something happens?
Yeah, so when our plan goes into effect, if we have direct assignments already in place, that means you have to update the plan as people change and rotate through. So by designating a PIO, it'd be something as simple as Administrator Cameron saying, okay, for this event, we've got this staff in place, this person's going to be designated as PIO. And it could be a contract employee, it could be a member of the department that it involves. Again, with disaster planning things, it may be outside public safety and it may be something that's involved with public works. I wouldn't be able to speak very highly on public works activity as well as Ron would in these cases. So he would be the designated PIO for that period of time. So we try to leave the plans broad and open so that we're not identifying structures or places that may not be available to us to use, whether we're talking shelters, mass care, however we deem those things. And this includes with positions, the flexibility and the ability to have the right person in the right position for the event, because we don't know when or where it will occur.
Thank you.
It's funny, I asked the same question.
Yes. Everybody's identified.
Who is that PIO person? Only to find out that it's to be announced at the time of disaster.
I mean, for example, we could have a small event in Delhi, if it's police related, you'll see a sergeant or a lieutenant maybe that handles it. It could be a fire scene and the news is in front of me. It's the idea that it's flexible to the event and that we have the right people staged. But that's why we don't want to single it out as one person. That may not be your subject matter expert, depending on the situation.
All right, well, I think we're ready then, and at next meeting, we will have a resolution to approve and put this in place. Hopefully, we never need to use it. This is big time disaster stuff. This is big tornadoes, fires, floods.
All hazards, that's how we term it.
All hazards. So let's hope it's in place and it never loses its place. So, Mr. Cameron,
If
did
I
you
could
have
add a couple things. One, we do have one in place now.
Right.
So as we're talking about this is an update. So there is an emergency operation plan in place. This is more of, I'll call it boilerplate stuff that it helps us be able to react or take advantage of things in a disaster situation. So it's not like every little detail talked about, but these plans have to be in place. It's a higher level kind of plan. So we do have one in place. This is an update. And so I just wanted to make sure people weren't thinking we didn't have something like this already in place.
This is more contemporary and more thorough, I would say, though.
Much more. It is what we needed to happen as a local entity. Our agencies are now going to be more in line at the county with the county level. It helps us kind of coordinate better, and obviously realize Sam's not going to be here the day after a disaster strikes. We're going to be on our own for a period of time to ramp up resources, and that's what this plan entails. How do we coordinate with other agencies outside the township? Even to kind of deal with recovery and things like that. So yeah, it's comprehensive, but it's very simple and it ties in to the county.
Thank you, Doug. Well, as we congratulate and thank Robert Palmer for over 30 years of service in the fire department, we are now going to welcome a new hire, Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the hiring of Nicholas S. Stanger as part-time firefighter EMT in the fire department at the rate per the collective bargaining agreement with the Delhi Firefighters Association upon successful completion of the voice stress analyzer, pre-employment physical, drug testing, and background check effective on April 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved. Welcome, Nicholas S. Stanger.
Yeah, so Nick's been a familiar face around the firehouse. We like to post our Explorer post, and he is a product of that Explorer post. So he kind of comes into our organization, certainly with a good knowledge of Delhi, but a good knowledge of how the department works, and he'll fit in nicely. We're excited.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome, Nicholas. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Moving ahead, Parks and Recreation. Mr. Luby, you have a resolution?
Resolution 2022-33, resolution entering into an agreement with the Delhi Community Benefit Skirt Softball Committee for use of Delhi Park for its 2022 annual charity event, authorizing the Assistant Administrator to execute the agreement, declare an emergency, and dispensing with a second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
Quick question on this, not so much the resolution, but just, in the past, there's been a concern that I've noticed with, and this might not be the perfect time to talk about it, but since we're talking about it, the skate park and that being open, fully running, when this is all going on, where does that stand, and do we close that during that time, or can we close it during that time?
Well, they did approach us about that, but this is a park. We don't want to shut the park completely down during the event, but if they do have the issues over there, we told them to contact the police department to help them out. So they were okay with taking that recommendation that they wanted out, so we did not put it in. But they did propose it.
They did? Okay.
Yeah, we said this is a public park. The community did not enjoy our park while they're setting up and doing their thing, but they were fine with having it removed. But we did have that open discussion with them.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I will move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Looby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes?
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes. Greg, updates.
Well, do you want to have a discussion about dog park and pickleball tonight, or do you want to delay it?
No. If you've got something more to tell us or more information on what we had, then let's do it.
Yeah, I sent you guys information
Yes.
yesterday. I printed off some packets for you tonight. So basically, after the last meeting, I went back and tried to decipher the comments and the ranking of where you guys were desiring to have both the pickleball and the dog park locations. I have put them in the spreadsheet. The highlighted areas were the ones where pretty much consensus, or there was at least a recommendation for a location. We did have some discussion about the Rapid Run property for a possible dog park, but with FEMA regulations and uncertainty with that, we kind of aren't exploring that at this time. But I did kind of prioritize them. I did do some preliminary layouts of what these areas could look like. With both the dog park, I put 3 of them together for you, and 3 areas with pickleball court locations also. So I guess I'll open it up to see where you guys want to go with it from here.
Well, first thing I notice is that we have, Trustee Davis has 1 selection, Trustee Sturts has 2 selections, and Trustee Seavey has 2 selections. So did they only select one, or did they not have a first one and a second one?
On which one? The dog park?
Well, from Trustee Davis and Trustee Sturts, did they have a second choice?
Both of them were looking at the FEMA road or the Rapid Run properties, so I did not highlight those because of the possible restrictions on the dog park only.
Oh, down here at the,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Is
why
that where you
we-
restricted that?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why I did not include that in this proposal at this time, because we are uncertain about the home that's still standing.
Right. Would it
FEMA
help if they
regulation.
then went up to the ones that are in play? And
Yeah,
made selection?
the highlighted ones are the ones still definitely in play. If you look at the pickleball courts, we had 2 recommendations for relocating the tennis courts, but there was no direction on where you want them located, the new ones. So I struck that at this time, but if you want to open that discussion up, we can do that too.
Did you say relocating the tennis?
That was actually a selection a couple of you guys posed or made at the last ones. We could restrike the existing court and just relocate the tennis. That was a quick fix if we wanted to do that,
So we'd be building new tennis courts
if we wanted to. Yeah.
and put
Yeah.
pickleball where tennis is?
That was one of the options we proposed.
I think that would be a horrible option, to have people playing pickleball right next to the skate park. Not that they wouldn't enjoy that youth and energy and this vibrant spirit, however, the language that is used consistently, I wouldn't want to expose them
Generation
to
gap?
that. Whatever it's called, but I think that would be not the best, and So I just throw that out there.
Yeah, and one of the things I did put in my email yesterday, and, and I'm just trying to help guide you guys in this decision making, is these are two large projects. Should we possibly consider tackling just one this year, just based on the costs that we're seeing? Pickleball courts right now are averaging about $20,000 to $30,000 per court, and we're looking at doing 4. I got a second cost estimate came in this afternoon, and for 4 courts it's over $85,000 for construction. We budgeted 100.
I was gonna say,
We
the budget
budgeted
was a 100
$100,000
for the pickle.
For the pickleball, 50 for the dog park. Just an idea.
And
As we know with our own project, things are not coming in cheap,
Right.
and delivery dates on materials are behind too.
Well, and Greg, also with the supply chain, I wonder which one we could get the necessary materials in to complete this summer versus, next summer.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an issue. We know that from, the town square. So,
Yeah, the fencing I know is delayed. We're even seeing it with residents coming in just to do their own yards, where they're telling us it's 6 to 7 months on chain link fencing for their yards. So pickleball doesn't necessarily need fencing right off the bat, but we could at least get the courts in. Dog park need fencing. So, yeah.
So with that being said, do we tackle pickleball this year and then put the dog park for the beginning of next year, or whenever the fencing can come in after January 1?
Or just hold off a year and see if pricing comes down on fencing.
Right.
I mean, we had that quote come in for $55,000 just for an acre of fencing around the dog park.
And that's not even anything for them to quote play with or benches for
No,
owners.
that was just the fence.
That's just the fencing, so we're already way over budget. So if we can keep that 50,000 in for this year, carry it over to next, and do the improvements and do it, not just do half a job on it. I mean, I think the pickleball courts have been asked for. I mean, even when I first got in office, so that's 6 years ago, were asked for way before a dog park. I'd rather put our money in a pickleball court. And
I'd rather see if we can get the materials, because you got surface stuff in there too.
is the asphalt a problem at this time? No, you're not seeing the asphalt problem. And nets and poles or whatever.
It's the fencing.
It's the fencing, that's our problem.
But the fencing is minimal, and obviously the pickleball
Right.
court than the dog part on the sit dog track. That's another discussion for another day.
That's your other day.
Here comes Sparky. So let's just say if we went with the pickleball court, do we have an agreement where that would go? Looks like Floral Paradise Gardens, we all 3 agreed on that one, is that correct?
Cheryl didn't like that one, I don't think, did you, Cheryl?
I thought that was your
No,
first.
I did.
That's her first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay.
my first choice.
For Blair, what'd you say for?
Well, I didn't like Rapid Run,
Okay, fine.
and I didn't like Foley Road.
Okay. So Floral Paradise was a good choice for everybody for pickleball? Is that what
D4,
you're
look at D4.
Yeah.
saying? D4.
And that would be this rendering here. And there is room for that. We could have parking at some point. We also have room for expansion if 4 is not enough now. We could add more in the future.
Okay, I'm confused. Are we talking dog park or pickleball?
Pickleball court. I thought that would focus on
D4 is
pickleball.
dog park.
D4 is the dogs.
Right, so I thought we were talking pickle.
We are.
Okay, so,
And I'm still in Floral Paradise Gardens. I'm P2.
Okay.
I'm sorry, P2.
okay, very good, I'm sorry. Well then, that sounds like a
But-
place to go.
But if you look at Floral Paradise Gardens, as I think we all did, that field there at Floral Paradise Gardens screams dog park. From the walking track up around it, and then that would be, the wide open field that would easily could fence it. The restrooms right there, parking is there, there's
Shade.
some shade, yeah. So
Okay.
I just wonder if we want to give up that spot so easily for pickleball when pickleball really could be at several different spots as compared to a dog park.
Okay, so I'm seeing the pickleball court in front of the gazebo over at Floral Paradise in the picture. And I see, if you're talking dog park over at Floral Paradise, it's in another area.
Yeah, it's 2 different spots.
2 different spots, so it's not the same area. Am I understanding? Okay.
Right.
So,
If we were going to put both in the same spot, in the same Floral Paradise Gardens Drive. But that would be a lot of traffic, I think, than what you be planning probably. With all the dogs and then people playing pickleball, so.
Well, you do have the space there for additional parking right next to the pickleball courts. In front of the gazebo, closer to the street. In your dog park, you're talking either that field that people
It's
use
in
for
the back.
athletics or under those trees, which...
It's more under the trees, I think. Greg?
We had two options for the dog park at Floral Paradise. One is in the open field with a, called the dog track maybe, Mike, that goes around it. And then the second one is more in the trees. Now, these are kind of rough drawings. The open field area where we had the dog park shown, there is some topography issues on the west end of it with mounding. It slopes downward. When you get into the trees, I walked that yesterday, it does slope quite a bit downward towards a ravine. There's a drainage swale in there.
Where are you picking for the dog park then? Because
I'm
we
letting
seem
you
to have
guys.
negatives on all of it. I'm trying to find a positive for the doggy.
That's your choice, not mine. I'll leave my recommendation to myself right now.
Personally, the one under the trees, I know, Shirley, you said, people said you need shade, but we don't need that much shade. I just see that being a mud pit because it's never going to get dry. And these dogs are going to be walking around there in the mud, and the people are going to be sitting in the mud. So they may have some shade as far as the people, but I think if, as time goes on, we can build a shade thing. I mean, I don't know, something for people to sit under. I just see under the trees as a mud pit.
So let me go back. Clearview Lake for pickleball courts. Have we decided to at least eliminate pickleball court at the end of Clearview Lake?
I'm saying so because of the geese droppings.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so,
Yeah, but the dog track park at Floral Paradise is also going to be, if I were a resident in that area, I would think like wonderful, and not in a good way, as compared to, I think the dog park inside the park more, which is family oriented and things. I think it's just going to be better as compared to trying to put that up there and add parking and pavement and everything else. Again, you're looking at more expenses than I think what we want to do right now. So I would just say the dog park somewhere in the park.
So are you saying more as you're coming in off of Foley? Is that your other option?
I like something coming in off of Foley. I know that's not held by everyone here. It's exciting.
I like the tree-lined road coming in the park, and I don't,
Well, the trees would still be there. So this would be over some. So is that an acre, Mr. DeLong? Is that rough or is that?
That's rough. We could probably get close. That's the one we can get closest to.
I think we could do better for an entry than a dog park or a pickleball court.
I'd hate to give up good real estate for those two things there.
You mean
I'd be opposed to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
to put it in Foley?
To put it there, that's too level to be something like that. I mean, I'm not opposed to the walking
Okay,
park.
and it's also still used for, I'm going to call it random, because it's really not an organized soccer league, but it is used for a soccer league, that flat area. It's also used for overflow parking for events that happen in the park.
Mhm.
So
It's also concert.
it's also the concert yard.
Yeah.
Good point, Mike.
Can I just ask a question, and this is probably out of the way. People that are sitting here right now, is there any burning thought that you're thinking, I just really want to say this, here's a thought? Anything? Pete, anybody? People that have been here?
Uh-oh. Hi, Jan.
My feeling is that backfield beyond the main field, there's that small field in the back. I think that would be a great place for the dog park, because it's out of the way, it's not near anybody that would cause, neighbors or anything. That was just my feeling.
Is that we have water problems back there? No, the drainage problems?
There's an issue right now.
Yeah.
Right, but does it drain properly in the?
When it's constructed properly, it drains properly, but yeah. The worst field that we have is field 9, which is tucked in. I think we are behind field 3. That's the worst for water and bad drainage. But other than that, the other fields, 6 and 7, way out there, behind McDonald's and all that.
Is that, which one are you talking about, Jim? The one that's down, kind of?
I don't know the field numbers. I'm
Okay, so
sorry.
you've got Lake, you've got the
Well, there's
lake.
one, the main one where the skirt game is, and then that there, and then there, I think, so there's one behind that.
9
No.
It's a little field that
is a little one. Yeah, that one has bad drainage.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So if we even sort of contemplate doing a dog park, and we do hold it off till next year, till maybe things come down, or we have more of a budget for it to do it right, can we be investigating Rapid Run in the meantime with FEMA? And then we have another choice? The reason I'm saying is, we keep putting everything in the park, and it's a beautiful park, and it's being developed well, and it's so proud of it. But for the people on the west side of town, they may not come over and bring their dogs that far. Where if we put something central, maybe it serves both sides of town.
I think most dog owners would question their canine safety on a street like that. And that's one of the reasons why I hesitate for Foley Road as well. Mike?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, as I said at the last meeting, I think, and being a dog owner, it's a nightmare waiting to happen. And I know we try to control our dogs and we have them on leash, but dogs are dogs, and you open your door and they take off and they rapid run, and next thing you're chasing your dog. Now we have a dog and people in rapid. It's just, I just hate the whole idea of that. But I also agree too. It's like trying to shove everything in the park. Maybe there's something more centrally located. And we haven't even talked about Story Woods.
Right? You know, Mike, well, both of you, I share that about the dogs, and I understand having had a dog. But I was really shocked driving downtown and behind Procter & Gamble and under the expressways there's 3 dog parks right there. And the main drag is behind the courthouse. Have you ever been down there? Or not the courthouse? Yeah, I guess it is the courthouse. There's 3 dog parks there. And you know, it doesn't seem to be an issue with all the busy roads down there. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Like I said, I was shocked. I realized I've never seen a dog park down here. So
Yeah, and one of the considerations we put into this when coming up with these ideas was people walk. People walk their dogs. These are all walking paths or sidewalks. And it's convenient. And we see a lot of people walking these sidewalks with dogs. So that was why they were thrown out as a consideration.
So we'll hold on to the dog for now, right? Because it sounds like it's a lot easier from what you're saying. For the pickleball court, you can get that up and going, some asphalt, and
You're not going to fence in a pickleball court?
I think you should fence in the pickleball courts, but I would like to see how much, I mean, fencing a pickleball court is nothing compared to the whole way through for a dog track and that cost. Absolutely.
Yeah, dog park fencing is 5 feet minimum. Pickleball, you're only going to 4 foot fence, like we see around the backyard. This ball's not balanced.
Well, I go back to my original question, which is I'd like to really understand the availability of all these pieces before we make a decision to cancel one and not the other. And you know what? If fencing is an issue everywhere, then that's where we are. And it might not make any difference, Greg, if it's 5 feet or 4 feet. It might just be the class called family or fencing. So,
but if we put it in at Floral Paradise, they're not going to be running out putting a street or anything like that, and it won't go too far. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. The thing is, if we keep putting this off another month and another month, we're going to be going into next year anyway. But if we can make it somewhat a decision on something, and if we decide to go with Floral Paradise, that's not going to be in conflict with a dog park. It's just a thought that that's something that we could at least start moving forward with. and meeting what are the goals for this year.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
You had asked for other comments. I was just wondering, if you look out the window behind you, there's a huge field there. As far as I know, that's only used once a year for the Easter egg hunt. I don't know if there's any feasible possibility, and this is the first time I'm hearing all this, I don't know, but, you know, is that area a possibility here too? Right outside the window
Right.
here?
For which one? Either one?
Either one, whichever would go there. I mean, you're pretty much surrounded totally by the park. There is, you know, parking available, you know, in the front of the lodge here. It's easily walkable, you know, if you want to walk anywhere else over the lake or this or that. I'm just throwing that as an idea. I haven't heard that mentioned.
Size-wise, I think you'd be looking at that for pickleball right behind here. I don't think you could do the dog thing there. You would want a lot the size of Floral Paradise that, you know, because you're not just going to have we're just going to fence a yard for a dog park, but you're going to fence it, and then you're going to put additional fencing in, kind of as a holding area for the, so I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than just slapping up the fence for a dog park, and so you do need a little bit of space. This space is probably perfect for pickleball, because you can get 4 to 6 courts in there easily, and you got plenty of parking all around.
And then you got a skate park.
That was,
Right, yeah.
we still have
Which we're
skate park.
trying to get away from.
Yeah, but at least you're up above that a little bit as compared to, because I play down here in these courts, you hear every conversation, every little thing going on, you know, and pickleball's a little bit more intense as you're going compared to the tennis, and you have time, you know.
Greg, have we looked at that area?
We considered it early on, but we were trying to find as level of space as we could to keep the cost down. Because that would do some grading and everything else in here. Yeah, it does slow it down. But we can look into it.
Okay, I think there are still a lot of questions. I'm sorry, comment?
Yes, I'm Brian Ezel. I just had a question. What sort of demand or requests are there for each of the projects, the dog park or the pickleball?
I wish I had kept score over the past few years, because pickleball is very popular with our senior group, and they have asked for a number of years about pickleball. And if you haven't noticed, we have a lot of dog walkers and a lot of dog owners, and they walk through the park all the time. In fact, we've even had companies come and, you know, comment the fact that you're going to raise money to do a dog park. So I wish I'd kept score, because I don't know.
Does the dog park solve an issue? Is there an issue to that?
No, it won't solve an issue. The only issue that can be solved with dogs is by their owners.
Right, sure.
So, I don't know, Greg, do you have any feeling on which is the more popular, the dogs or the pickleball?
Well, you're talking to a cat person, so don't ask me that. And I don't play pickleball.
You know,
Sorry.
I just sent you guys something on a wonderful Sunday afternoon, which does illustrate that. Pickleball is the #1 up and coming. It is, but we've been saying this for 2 years. You can go to every possible magazine, Google it, and it is. Pickleball is a little bit safer of a sport. It's a, you know, I don't know how else to say it. And you go to other pickleball courts and you wait to play. Western Hills Indoor has it. Everywhere you look, tennis courts are now all being designed in addition to pickleball. So,
Separate striping.
yeah, I think we're a little behind doing something. Okay, Jack, you were going to comment?
Well, it's quite a privilege. Our biggest problem right here is pickleball or dog park. But I think there's still some questions, and even though I agree with you, Trustee Sturts, that I don't want to delay this, I also don't want to take a vote on something that I'm not confident of all the pieces coming together. And that's my feeling. Trustee Davis?
Well, as I said, the dog park is going to be a lot of money for that fencing. It's a lot, and if you
And we're not putting fencing on
Yeah,
it.
and we already know the fencing's on back order, and it's expensive compared to the, as we said, the pickleball. If you're going to do one of the two, the pickleball is a little bit easier. You can get in. There's not a problem with the asphalt. You can go right in, and maybe we'll get lucky on the fencing if we can put something up and just you know,
With a lot
we'll
less
put
fencing.
around something to stop the ball, because the balls don't bounce in pickleball. So that's a little bit easier of a thing, and I know it would resonate in the community because there's many that want to play that. They go to Green Township and everywhere else for that. And if there's 3 dog tracks just right 10 minutes down the road, what are we doing talking about dog park? No, I didn't know that, Rose.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
downtown.
you get
They're-
3 right down, you
They're right
know.
behind 800 Broadway, one of them is.
They have turf and all kinds of stuff, yeah.
It's called a canine camp.
So is that what it's called?
We have the new bar up in North Kentucky, or Park Park.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Greg won't be going.
I won't be.
Yeah, we will be on that.
If I can throw my thought out there, one of the things we still will have to do is a little bit of recon. We'll probably have to survey an area. Our initial reaction, at least for the pickleball, is with the terrain by Foley Road and Floral Paradise, we think will be minimal in our movement of dirt. So that was a key reason those made more sense. The more dirt you have to move, you might have the wall, you might have other stuff. So I'd love an opportunity to at least identify, if we're interested in Floral Paradise, I can have it surveyed, we can see what that means, or whatever you want to do, but I think just
And could we
leaving
use
it-
that same time then to track some of these supply issues and see what we can get quicker and accomplish them?
Well, from what I heard, there was a couple parts to the conversation. One, we budgeted X amount,
Right.
and we can't do both of them for that amount.
No.
And do we want to just say, let's give it one? And if you're going to ask me what I think, pickleball is definitely the higher priority that I've heard over my 5 years. So that is the one I would press on,
Okay.
and then put the other one off into next year. I mean, you can walk a dog, you can other dog, so on. So pickleball seems to be the one that you've talked about more. We've heard more about. So I'd focus that direction. Just the dog park can go in on a number of different places or options, and I think we're still kind of up in the air on what makes the most sense. But I'd love to be able to do some work between now and some next time so that we're ahead of knowing what we exactly can do.
Okay.
So it'd be good to get some direction at least on one of them, push forward a little bit.
So if I understand what you say, you're kind of with me, and let's get some more of these pieces filled in, and we'll address this again on April, what is that, the 27th? Is that enough time for a surveyor and get some work done?
I think I need to know what areas you want surveyed, so you're going to have to pick one. That's what I'm saying.
Right, you're focusing more on the pickleball
Yes.
compared to the other. And the only thing besides Foley and Floral Paradise, I do think this area here is a convenient area because people can park right here, walk right to it. They're not passing the skate park, they're not going down the hill. It's
And a restroom.
a safe in and out, and you have a restroom right there. I think that is an ideal piece, so maybe start with that and include the others. I don't think we're going to find a consensus for Foley Road. I think Trustee Steve is pretty adamant on that also, on nothing as you're coming in there. But that might be a viable alternative right behind us here. And there wouldn't be a whole lot. It's pretty flat and, yeah, okay.
Let's get it down to 2.
Yeah.
Whittle it away.
Get it down to 2, which
That
would
would be
be,
helpful.
if I call this the lodge lot, okay, the lodge lot behind me, or for Paradise lot. One or the, you want us to choose one or the other?
Or are you going to survey both?
Or can you survey both?
Well, we can survey both. I don't know how much information we'll have from the surveys to tell us any more for the next meeting. Because it'll take them a little bit to get out and survey it and give us topo and then see how much cutting, fill, and so forth. So I don't know that I'll have enough critical information by the next meeting to go, this area makes more sense, less sense, more costly, whatever.
I think having that information is critical. So, are you willing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I think you can find out basically, in order to put 4 to 6 pickleball courts in, not all the other about serving, but we should have at least a basic idea what that would cost. I mean,
Yeah,
then it just a matter of where it would go, right?
Yeah, so the information we're working from is Cages, which is not, it's pretty accurate, but you never know. So until you have an actual surveyor lay the area out with all the obstructions and the movement of the earth, you just don't know. And that's what I'm saying. Point at one or two places so we can have that technical work done and know what we're getting into rather than cages and then, using it. I think that's necessary, but I don't want to do that until we know we're serious about whatever the spots are.
Okay, so we know the one behind us. Are we in agreement, Rose? Are you okay on that one?
I'm fine.
So that's one. So then the second one would be, we know it's not fully, so it would have to be put Floral Paradise at this point.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple options back there. But as I said, that big field there is just so perfect for the small area. But we'll see it. We'll see what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
If
I
there's
won't
no
pass on
other,
any updates
No,
because
this is
everything
a good
else is.
discussion, because I know a lot of people are going to be happy or disappointed that one or the other is going to happen. But here's the reality. Costs have gone up, and the budgeted amount is not going to make it. So we have to, choose our favorite child and move forward. And, it'll be a pickleball court, and we'll figure out what the supplies are going to be, and Jack will get back with the critical information on where it's going to be. And that doesn't mean the dog park has gone away. It just means it's on hold. Fair enough?
Fair.
Fair enough? Mr. Moneyman down there?
if there's no other business to be brought.
No chance. No chance. Greg, were there any other things for the park?
Still looking for seasonal help, looking for a park maintenance worker, still looking for volunteers. Since the last meeting, we've had a couple new volunteers
Yes.
submit applications, which is great. We're trying to bring back Floral Paradise to its vibrancy again, and it's going to take a lot of work. So
I was happy to see the return of many of our volunteers, and really, I can't tell you enough the fun and the camaraderie of volunteering in the park. So if you've got the time, we'd love to have you in Delhi Park.
yeah, and we got to make sure you fill out a form before you start pulling weeds. So we have our backs covered on our end, and you're taking care of yourself.
Greg and Randy have put a nice program together for everyone to follow, and it should be a good summer in the park.
It should be.
Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, following agenda, we have the police department, and they have a hiring recommendation. Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the hiring of Brent A. Cayley as auxiliary police officer in the police department at a pay rate of $39.17 per hour, effective April 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to approve the hiring of William R. Murphy as auxiliary police officer in the police department at a pay rate of $39.17 per hour, effective April 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Yes. Motion approved.
Can we unpack that real fast? if you
Yeah,
don't mind?
I was going to ask, did we have one? No, that's the end of our
It's just those two.
part-time.
Yeah, it says
Yes.
two. They retired back in
The
July.
auxiliary
We
police
created-
officer, that's a new term.
Yeah, we created the position. You passed a motion to create the position. Now this is just hiring them back into that position. And their pay would be effective if it's mandatory training, things that we have to keep up with. They'll be paid for that. Otherwise, they can work details and stuff like that.
So you'll recognize a couple of the names
Yep.
and a couple of faces.
Recognize them.
Yeah. So will you unpack that? What would they be used for? I know we've talked about the people that are just now tuning in on.
They volunteer their time up at Christmas parade, skirt game, stuff like that.
They don't volunteer their time.
They would volunteer their time.
I just passed $39.17 an hour.
Well, that's what I mentioned. If it's mandatory training,
That's
means
just for their training.
when they go to the
Okay.
firearms,
All
they
right.
got, the state says they have to train firearms. Then we pay them to do that. We got 24 hours of continuing professional training a year we have to do, so we will pay them for that,
Okay, I got you.
to keep their certification.
So it's sort of voluntary.
Correct.
All right, thank
Except for
you.
training.
Except for things that we have to, we have to keep their certification. Now, they could work a festival if there's not enough officers to work a festival, but that's being paid by the festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
That church.
And will they be in regular township police
Yeah, they
uniforms?
still have our uniforms, everything, so there's
Awesome.
no cost, bring them back, their experience back, and it's win-win for everybody.
Yes, it is. Welcome back.
Good,
Yeah.
yes.
Good to see him around again.
And Bill's still with Oak Hills?
Yep, and Brent Colley's still out at Deer Park Elementary.
So they both do have full-time jobs, both sit here today.
Awesome.
All right, Mr. Libby, we also have an additional motion.
Motion to approve the transfer of 50% of Maria Cara Venemeyer's sick time balance upon separation from her current public agency and allow 55 hours of vacation time in 2022 to be available for use 30 days after her start date.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion approved. Oh,
So this is part of when you do somebody laterally?
yes.
Yeah.
By state law, if they were coming from a township, we would have to accept everything. We don't have to, but as far as from coming from a city, but part of lateral, you know, she's accumulated 3 years of sick time, so we're going to allow her to bring half of it over. And then the other portion is the 30 days. It's usually 60 days before you can use vacation. A week's vacation is 6 months, actually. But with that, we know she has a marriage planned in October that she would have been about 2 weeks short, so this will assist her allow to take off and get married.
Great, great. We can't wait to meet Kara.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sad resignation here, Mr. Libby.
Motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time police clerk Catherine C. Neville, effective March 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Kathy Neville, thank you so much for your service. We've enjoyed your spirit here,
Yes,
and you will be missed.
How long was she with us, Chief?
A little more than 4 years. Yeah,
Always bright face behind
Yep.
the glass.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Chief, do you have any other updates for us
I'd
tonight?
like to mention the Let's Talk Gun Safety that we had put out. It's May 7th. Anybody's welcome. We ask you to register. You can use the code, or you can contact Kaylee Vickers of the PD to register. You don't have to. Anybody can walk in that day. It's at Oak Hills. It's at Rock Run Auditorium from 9:30 to 11 on May 7th. And we'll just talk about gun safety. Adults are welcome. Children are welcome. Talk about gun safety. We'll hit a little bit on the new Senate Bill 215 where, you know, anybody, if you're a qualifying adult, you were able to get a CCW, now you can carry a firearm, and so forth. So we look forward to it. I think it'll be a great program. So.
Okay.
But don't bring your firearms to the training. There's not
No
going to be that
firearms
kind of
in
training.
training. Exactly. We're not going to help you clean them. We're not going to help you show you how to load them or do anything. Yes, leave them at home, actually.
Well, I know we've had a lot of requests for you to do this again, and it was a packed, sold-out event the last time, so look forward to it again.
And it's open to anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be Delhi Township residents, anybody across town, whatever. More the merrier. Got room for about 450 people.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, anything from Public Works, Ron?
How did you get here?
Nothing really specific, just wanted to mention the construction that's going out on, around, and in the township, such as Fairbanks Road. We've gotten some calls on that. After the water main's done, they will be paving it. I don't have an exact time frame, but I'm sure we're all looking forward to it. And then the Fair Road project is wrapping up, and they plan on paving within the next couple months at the longest. So, good news.
And the bridge? And Rapid Run Bridge?
They're working on it. Yeah, as far as I know, it's on schedule, but I can check and report back next meeting.
Yeah. You don't realize how many times you cross that bridge until you can't.
Well, yeah, and our safety equipment getting where they need to get.
Yeah.
That
That was a few big projects, and not to mention all the utility work as far as overhead and just gas line replacements throughout the township. I mean, we do get a good amount of calls on that stuff.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Ron. All right. Administration, Mr. Cameron, I think you want to talk to us about gas aggregation?
I don't want to have to, but yes. So we have the aggregation program for our electric supply and also natural gas. So we use a broker, and it's typically a 2 or 3 year term that these prices are put into. Our natural gas price is coming to term, I think it's tomorrow. So they have not gotten a price for the natural gas supply that they are comfortable with. Natural gas prices have gone up, and so they're not comfortable locking a price in that they can get now for the next year or 2 years. So what they recommend And keep in mind, they're brokers, so they get paid when they buy and sell the supply, so they don't get anything in the scenario where everybody will go back to the Duke regulated natural gas price. So what is going to happen is people are going to get a notice that they are back on Duke for their natural gas for supply. That will throw things into a tailspin. We already realize that. We can't do much about it. So if you're listening, please don't get excited. It's the natural course of what is going to happen. They think they're seeing the pricing better in 2023, and so they're expecting over the next few months to figure out a blended price that they're comfortable with getting us locked into. It might be a 12-month, it might be a 24-month, but right now the prices are too high. They don't want to lock one in. Summer months are lower on gas usage, so it's not that bad. They want to have a better price for this winter 2022 and then 2023 if that's how things work. So people are going to get notified if you're in the aggregated program that you're now on Duke for natural gas. And if you don't listen, you're going to call and wonder what the heck's going on. But so they're going to be geared to answer those calls. We will be geared to answer the calls. There will be information put out, but just the more you can pass that word along, don't be surprised when you see that.
Jack, what will happen when our aggregation company goes back to aggregating gas and we're back with them? Will we be notified then that it's changed again? Or is there anything that our residents will have to do to go from Duke on a temporary basis back to the aggregation program?
Sure. So if you are an eligible customer, meaning a resident of Delhi, and you're on Duke's regulated utility, whether it's gas or electric, you're eligible. And or if you're currently in the aggregated program, which you wouldn't be in this instance. So what happens is we put a price in place, and then they do the PUCO required mailings, so you will see an opt-out notice. So it's an opt-out program, meaning you're in it if you're eligible, unless you say you want out. So they're going to get a notice, let's say in the next month, that says you're going back to Duke. Okay, don't panic, that's what we expect. Just stay calm. Then when we get a price in place, you'll get another notice that's your opt-out notice. So you don't have to do anything. You just sit and ride it through if you're comfortable with the aggregated program. So that's what they should expect. No action needs to be taken. I will say where it gets confusing for folks is when pricing changes and then you get these suppliers calling. That's when we start to get calls. Even though they're on our aggregated program, some suppliers out there are marketing people, and then once in a while it's Dynegy, which is our electric supplier, that will cause some confusion in the marketplace, so we get calls. But if you have any questions, you can call the office. Lori or myself typically handle these, and then just expect to see a couple notices, but just sit tight and don't let anybody convince you to do anything otherwise.
And we will have this on our website as well as any other social media posting that this is expected?
Yeah, it'll be on our website. I'm not sure when we'll hit social media because that's, timing thing, but yeah, it'll be readily available.
All right, and one of the reasons why we selected the gas aggregator that we did was for customer service. So I guess we'll be testing them as we have questions going forward on this. But they have been very good to us with customer service. So
they resolve any issue we put in front of them.
Absolutely.
So that's good. And I will say he gave me the count, 20-something other communities in the same boat, and everybody's going the same path, which is letting their program come to term, and then their customers going back on the regulated utilities. So all of our contemporaries are doing the same thing.
All right, thank you. Anything else from administration?
Hopefully the elevator starts to get fixed next week.
Okay.
Still waiting for her to confirm that they got off the other job or getting off the other job.
Great. Any updates on Town Square?
Still fighting with permits.
Still fighting permits.
We're doing the site work and we're still fighting to get all our permits in place. That's a never-ending process.
It's kind of different for us to be on the looking for a permit instead of giving a permit, isn't it?
I don't want to I don't want to badmouth anybody until I get a permit from them, but.
No, that's right.
Feel sorry for
Good-
anybody who's
good
got
thought.
those entities.
Good thought. All right, thank you, Jack. I have no one signed in for public comments. Was there anyone who missed the opportunity to sign in for public comment? Oh, I'm sorry. Greg,
I'm back.
how could I miss having you back again?
Well,
Community
only down to
de-
one, that's a good thing, so.
Community development, and I do have a resolution for them, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2022-34, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 328 Bob Drive, declaring emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I will introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution, Mr.
Yeah,
DeLong?
it's kind of hard to see, but that's actually that black box is a refrigerator sitting in the driveway. So.
Between the two cars?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, between the two cars. So it's still there as of this morning, so we do request to declare nuisance.
Is it ticking?
Does it tick? Is that what she said?
What's going near the black box? Yeah, but you talked to them and they just.
This is a repeat offender.
Okay.
I don't understand, with all the calls about people picking up scrap metal, why don't they move this out to the curb and announce that they've got scrap metal at the curb? No? Okay, well, all right.
I will move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. Resolution passes.
One more thing. if
One
I may.
more thing.
I just want to remind the public we're hitting grass season and weed season. So please call our office. We are out and about looking. We are not taking anonymous complaints anymore, but we are out and about every day looking for things. But you can always call our office at 922-2705 and file a complaint, or you can go on the website and use the citizen service request and file your complaint there.
But not anonymous complaints, you have to sign your name to it, is that right?
We got away from the anonymous. It's easier for us to have a communication with the public. We will get random letters in the mail, and there are things we can't deal with, unfortunately. We have no way to get back with this individual. Well, we have one resident, we get a letter about once a month. I don't know who it is, and we cannot communicate with them because we don't know who they are. No contact information to explain why they're not seeing progress being done. So it's very difficult on our end, and we want to have that open communication. Plus, it's a great opportunity for us to explain rules. I mean, everyone thinks you're government, you can do whatever you want. It's not that simple. So we have strict rules we have to follow, and we always like to have that opportunity as an education to explain the rules to the public too.
Can I ask one other question? I was talking with someone yesterday, and it's probably all just rumor and things like that. Have you heard anything of some very wealthy person coming in and buying up the homes down on Lower Delhi Pike in the city and wiping kind of that out and developing?
Not heard anything.
Anyone ever heard that? No? You did, Chief?
I mean, I've heard it. Now I see a lot of them are for sale, the lots. Have you noticed a lot of the lots?
On River Road or on Delhi Pike? What are you talking
Delhi,
about?
Fairbanks down that way,
Okay.
Oh,
lower.
But yeah, I think you're looking at River Road? Is that what you're
Yeah, I
talking?
was
Yeah,
thinking,
that's
Yeah,
been
those are-
publicized.
Yeah, the city seized those several years ago, some by eminent domain, it happened to a friend of mine's family, because they needed those properties, and of course now you see them for sale, and they did absolutely nothing with them. But I thought that was an interesting thing, that someone's going down and wanting to buy up all those homes, and,
I know in Sedamsville, there's a lot of homes owned by one individual,
okay,
so maybe they're unloading them, I don't know.
okay, thanks.
Interesting. All right, thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
All right, now, everybody, I'm going to repeat this again. I do not have anyone signed in for public comment tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that missed the opportunity to sign in and would like a chance to speak? Okay, we'll move on then with an announcement of community events. Mr. Libby.
The Hamilton County Resource Yard Trimming Drop-Off at Hamilton Elementary School available on Saturdays and Sundays through December 4th. It's from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. The service is free to Hamilton County residents. Visit Hamilton County Resource website for a list of program details and other locations. The Friday Night Rewind, featuring a special showing of the movie The Princess Bride, is Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. to the Dolly Senior Center on Mead Road. presented by the Parks Department. $20 admission for adults includes snacks, bottled water, and one alcoholic drink. $15 admission for children includes snacks and a soft drink or mocktail. There will also be games and movie trivia. Call the Parks Department with any questions. Community Blood Drive, hosted by St. Dominic Knights of Columbus, is Friday, May 6th, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. We'll be at St. Dominic O'Connor Hall at 4551 Downey Road. Register at Hawksworth Blood Center's website or call 451-0910. Cleanup Dive Day is Saturday, May 7th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Delhi Senior Community Center at 647 Deep Road. The event is free and open to Delhi Township residents only. Visit the township's website or call the Parks Department with any questions. The paper shredding event hosted by the Delhi Business Association is Saturday, May 7th from 9 a.m. until noon or until the truck is full. We'll be at C.O. Harrison School on Neat Road. The Delhi Community Yard Sale is Saturday, May 14th from 8:30 a.m. till noon. It's at the Delhi Senior Community Center parking lot. And contact Delhi Parks for information on becoming a seller. And this is for Delhi residents only. Cost is $10 per space. Delhi Parks and Recreation summer concert schedule is June 16th. We have Bad Habit. July 21st, The Tillers. August 18th, Forever Diamond. And September 15th, the Danny Fraser Band.
All right, thank you, Mr. Libby. I do have a reminder. I was asked about yard trimming drop-off and did some little investigation, and that is handled by Hamilton County on selection of the sites that will be used for yard drop-off. So, our closest is Oakdale Elementary. If you're not familiar with Oakdale Elementary, if you know, go up Ridgetown Road, and right before you get to Nick and Tom's Restaurant, there's a stoplight, turn right, and Oakdale's Elementary School is right there. Okay, so please use Oakdale Elementary for your yard cleanup. All right, we do have need for executive session tonight, so if I could have that motion, please, Mr. Libby?
Motion to retire to executive session to conference with an attorney on pending or imminent court action and confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Libby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes. That concludes tonight's meeting, and our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 27th. In the meantime, everyone, have a blessed Easter, have a happy Passover or a happy Ramadan, but enjoy the blessed season. Thank you, everyone.